professional sports. Tanking stands for teams that lose on purpose to be able to get a higher draft pick or to be able to get a lottery pick or for whatever other purpose to benefit that team's chances the very next year when they compete. That can be in any particularly professional sport, although today we'll be talking about NBA and tanking and the 2026 mock NBA draft. I got several teams here that are going to be picking to get the best players out of college, which March Madness is already here up on us. So, welcome to the DC Stewart Show Podcast. I'm your host, Derek Stewart, along with my kinfolk, Najee. Isaiah will be joining us later this week, and we're going to be talking about NBA basketball generally today, speaking, and we mentioned tanking earlier. So that's something that most people keep very, very quiet about. And you don't hear a lot of conversation about tanking, but I want to bring it out into the forefront. And we got the right person here to do it. We got Najee here to do it. He's our basketball guru analyst. And Najee, I'm going to go ahead and pose this first question to you. Do you think the Sacramento Kings tanked this year with all of that talent on their squad? You got Westbrook, you got DeMar DeRozan, and you got
Zach
several other.
Levine.
Yes, you got several other good players. Sabonis on their team as well. They
Mhm.
picked number one according to this mock draft. So tell me a little bit about what you think about the mock draft and where these teams place in the mock draft, because I believe the Washington Wizards are placed at number two.
You got me. Just think about teams like Indiana Pacers. They just went to the finals last season. So tell me, can you explain to me why they're dead last in the East? They're 15 and 53. Even as bad as the Sacramento Kings is playing, they still
Mhm.
3 games underneath them. So, bro, like you mean to tell you can't go from finals game 7 to dead last in the league. It's 30 teams and you're dead last. Come on, something got to you got to tell me. You can't convince me because you lost Tyrese Halliburton. You don't go from finals game 7 to dead last the very next season. Not with one player. Tyrese Halliburton's not even that great of a player for you to go from that high to that low. You can't even convince me that.
So what did happen to the Pacers? Because you got Pascal Siakam. I mean, they had a really good team when they ended up playing for the championship, and they came up short. I find that hard to believe as well. And that goes to show you right there. What's the chances of this team just throwing in the towel and say, look, we don't care if we win the rest of the season, we'll be in the right kind of spot to land a Cameron Boozer or to land Gilbert Arenas' son or several other really top players that's in college right now that's getting ready to enter into the March Madness for college basketball.
Well, I think how it played out because I remember watching them in the beginning of the season, wanting to see how they compete as they were playing without Tyrese. But then I think it didn't really go their way, and they ended up being bad. So they was like, you know what, we got quite a few great prospects that's going to be in the draft. So why not just not play as hard as we was in the beginning of the season? Let's see if we can bring some young pieces in and see if we could be better than we were this current season.
Yeah, with all of that said, I mean, there is no guarantee. Let me just remind everyone, and welcome to our viewers as well, because we're so glad you're here. And this is a roundtable debate. Every debate we do, every topic discussion that we have, this is roundtable, baby. Y'all can come on board, and y'all can stream. We're streaming live currently, so feel free to drop us a line or whatever. It leads me back to think that it's no guarantee, even if in fact do place high enough to draft a really good player. It doesn't guarantee whether that player will be able to help that team advance back up from where it was or to advance higher. in the standings, right? I mean, there's no guarantee of that.
It's nope. Only going by is hope at this point. But I mean, what you're gonna do? You're gonna try hard, be a little better than what you are, and then don't get none of them great picks that you have. So I mean, the only that thing I hate about it is really cheating the consumer, the fans. Like you got people that's really invested into that franchise, is to buy their merchandise, to go to the game, to spend their hard earned money and time to a team that's purposely losing. That's where who's really taking the L.
So I'm going to read off the definition of tanking, and we're equating tanking with some of the positioning of some teams, current and past, because anytime you're looking at any sport, there
Hmm.
had to have been some history in the past where teams have made up their mind, and we don't know who the source is of these teams. It could be upper management, it could be driven all the way down from upper management to the floor or to the field or wherever these teams are playing. One thing is for sure, if it's indeed in fact tanking and the league finds out about it, there should be some heavily consequences issued on the organization itself, not just the players, not just the coaches, but it really all starts at the top when it comes to tanking. So let me read the definition off. Tanking is the strategic, intentional practice of fielding non competitive teams or losing games to secure higher draft pick and long term rebuilding advantages, common in North American closed leagues like the NBA and the NFL. It involves trading star players, resting veterans, and
Hmm.
prioritizing future prospects over current wins. So, give me your level of weight of, is it worth it or is it not worth it to even think about something like that? And that could come in a subtle way of communication, right? I mean, that can be a subtle way of the coach not really coaching the way they need to be coaching, or as motivation drives a lot of players and a lot of teams to play harder. It could be from that level. It could be from the general manager level. It could be from, the executive portion of an organization. And some people are just not going to outright come out and say start losing. They're going to give you reasons to understand that tanking could be a possibility. And I'm using the term tanking. They don't even call it tanking. They just say, well, the season is up in smoke anyway. So what do we need to do to get better next year, right?
Yeah, that's all they're gonna just say what they're focused on the future versus the present.
Exactly. So that right there kind of sends a message, a signal to the bottom that if I'm a player, look, I'm not going to play that hard, because if I'm playing hard and nobody else around me is playing hard, why should I play hard? It could be that, or it could be a whole host of things, right?
Oh, of course, of course, of course. But the thing is, I mean, you can only assume at this point. I'm like, bro, but it's a lot of time it's just obvious, bro. Like you're definitely doing it on purpose. You can tell because you can tell by the effort. You can tell by the lineup. Sometimes I'm like, bro, you mean to tell me you're gonna sit them to, like, for example, if you playing the Spurs, Wemby, like they probably know they're gonna get demolished, right? So guess what? Why even pay our best players? No, I want. It's the reason why we're paying this money to see top tier talent. We're not paying out there just to go see scrubs. We're not paying to see the bench. We're paying to see the best players on the court to perform and show their craft.
Well, with all of that said, there has been teams. Have you ever seen a team that you just flat out knew that they weren't trying to win? Have you ever noticed that or identified that with any sport? Doesn't necessarily have to be NBA.
Oh, bro, most definitely. I mean, the Wizards been trash forever. You have well, at one point I thought the Pistons were doing that, but look where their Pistons are now. The Pistons are they're number one in the East. But guess what? They probably doing it for a reason because they drafted well and it ended up working out for them in the long run. So other franchises see that and they be like, you know what? maybe we should do this. Maybe we could pick up, give Arena's son, we could pick up Boozer's son and see what type of future he can bring to this franchise.
Right, right. Yeah, so with these younger players coming in, anytime you have a younger player coming in, they have to get acclimated to the speed of any professional sport, right? I mean,
Exactly.
when it comes to speed, it's a slower speed when you playing at an amateur level versus some of the professional leagues. I'm not saying all of them because some athletes can come in and they can assimilate and acclimate right in immediately. They don't miss a beat when it comes to speed and agility and things of that sort. But you have other athletes, it takes longer for them to get a feel for the flow of how that league runs, how it plays, and everything else. And when that's the case, you're still wasting time. You're still investing further out rather than free agency. So if you had a choice between free agency and a high draft pick, which one would you go with in the NBA?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess if you want to, if you got to get what's out there because this is probably one of the better drafts anyway. So you're gonna probably do it on purpose to get them dudes, man. That I mean, but like I said, for the franchise, for the owner, for the CEO, for the person that owns the freaking team, they think that's the smart business move. But as a fan, I hate it. But I mean, because like I said, if I'm going to go to the game, if I want to take time out my day, I don't want them to purposely lose. I want to see a good game, man. Like me personally, I don't go to any game. I want to see certain players. Like when I went last year, I want to go see John Morant. I mean, he's considered one of the top tier younger players, right?
Mhm.
Boom. When I just went to a game 2 weeks ago, I went to go see the Houston Rockets. Who I went to go see Durant. I'm going to another game.
There you
Guess what I
go.
want to see? Shea Alexander. I want to see top tier performers. I don't, bro. So I'm telling you, that's the pros and cons in that. Pros, like if you're a diehard person, especially if you're a diehard person, the last thing you want to do is see them lose on purpose. But you do want to see them to you want to see them improve. But just
So
like you said, also, just because you do that, don't mean you're gonna get those players that you're aiming for. It's really just it's going by numbers, like bro, and also a strain of luck. You can do all that losing and get somebody that's gonna be a freaking bust. And look at
and
that.
that's
Now
happened
you
before in several
exactly.
different leagues, especially in football. I mean, I've noticed
Oh
in
yeah.
football that there has been drafts in the past where these teams they lay down and they play possum, and guess what? They still continue to lose, even though they've drafted high draft picks. The NBA is very unique in its own way, and it's so different from the culture of the NBA is so different from the NFL in so many different ways. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I
I
totally
mean,
agree.
it's a different sport, but it's a different culture. It's a different even the fan bases and the people who the NBA is part of cultural it's like it's got a embedded nature of culture inside of the NBA more so than any other professional league that I know of. Maybe because there's less players, and the NBA has been around for 50 plus years, just like the NFL has been around a lot longer, more likely than that, and Major League Baseball as well, because we don't ever want to leave baseball out. And there has been a lot of chatter within baseball that there has been gambling and teams and coaches and managers deciding that look I'm placing bets against my own team or I'm going to make sure this team don't make it to a certain record at the end of the year and
Mm-hmm.
I haven't never seen anything noticeable. I don't think I've seen anything that just stuck out at me with the exception of maybe 30 years ago, I was watching the NFL and I just saw some of the play calling and I saw how lack of or an effort, the lack of effort coming from the players and the coaches didn't seem like the head coach didn't seem like he was that concerned with it. And that kind of gave me an idea of what it could look like if indeed, in fact, they're doing that for a specific purpose. But in the NBA, the it's a smaller league in terms of the amount of players and coaching staffs and everything. Because
Hmm.
you look at football, you're talking about up to 70 people just involved in the field of play when it comes to the
Yeah,
coaches and the players and the trainers and then you look at the NBA, you're looking at 10 to 15 people, right? So
10 or
it
15
seems like
players.
it
Then you got a couple of
to
coaches
me
and
what I'm
trainers.
trying to
Yeah,
ask you, it seems like it will be more noticeable in the NBA. Would it be?
it will be because I mean you have a short stick of incident, not incidents, mistakes. Like you can only have so many more mistakes you can have that it becomes so noticeable versus football, where you got so many holes to fill in because you got so many extra bodies and stuff to cover up. But basketball, like you can literally, like for example, with the Warriors, you can't. I don't know if it's. I don't know if they're because they're still in the play-in, but they have so many injuries. At one point I don't think they even had that one of the last few games they had. I don't think they had enough eligible players for to be able to continue to play, bro. Like that luck is bad. I don't know if that's real bad luck or if they're starting to teeter around. Maybe we should chill out because now you got Jimmy Butler's out for the season. Curry's been out for like 2 months now. Like, do they really want to compete? Because if they compete, they make it to the sixth or seventh place in the West. Who you gonna play?
Right.
You gonna play Thunder or you gonna play the Spurs? So you did all that hard work to get knocked out embarrassingly. But so I
Right.
mean, it's up. It's picky poison.
Well, it affects the integrity, but what the hell is integrity now? Is integrity still important to a lot of people? No, it's
I
not.
think it's
I mean,
shot out the window,
is
man.
is integrity still important to society? That's a question that needs to be answered, right?
No,
I
no.
mean,
All they care about is winning and money. That's it. They don't care
exactly. And
about how
not
they
only
look.
that, it's just whatever that person decides that their interests are or is what drives some of the stuff that happens because if you look at morality and integrity and all of that stuff, I think with these professional sports league, those two words were out of the window 30 years ago. Because everything is driven so much by money now. Everything starts and finishes with money until that's the root of all of why they're chasing certain elements of doing certain things like tanking and other things, gambling within these leagues, whether it's the players or whether it's the coaches or whether it's the officials. So I have a specific question for you here, and this you can answer it if you like. You might be too young to remember it, but do you think when Duke was playing Michigan with Chris Webber, and Chris Webber called that timeout at the very tail end of the game when they didn't have a timeout and they had already had a timeout, a 30-second timeout, I believe it was. And I want to say the coach had to be insane if he didn't tell them, look, we don't have any more timeouts. Do you
Hmm.
think that's something that could have been looked at? Because there was rumors of that, but Chris Webber denied it all the way down to his very last.
Sometimes you be in the moment and then you just don't really think. Like I remember back in '06, Josh, I think his name was Josh Howard, used to play for the Mavericks. He called that timeout against the Heat, which was very costly because they didn't have any more timeout. So they ended up penalizing for that. And then I think they gave the Heat free throws for that and really took him out the game. I
Right.
want to say that's Josh Howard though. But I was like, bro, and I was, mind you, at that point, I didn't really care for it. Was Josh Howard, and I didn't really care for the Miami Heat with Wade because as a child, I was low key kind of salty that Shaq went from Kobe to Wade. So I vividly remember that after free throws, he called a timeout that they did not have, and they penalized him for that.
Yeah, let me make a correction too. I mentioned Chris Webber called that timeout against Duke. It wasn't Duke, it was North Carolina. And
Okay, okay.
that was a really, really contested game. I mean, that game was going back and forth. I personally thought when Michigan took the floor against North Carolina, they were going to get it handled, but they didn't, of course, because that last time out, the game was over. because it was a foul. It was a technical
Mhm.
at when he called that timeout with no time left, no timeouts left. So with that said, that just came to mind to me, and I can probably name multiple cases in football where receivers have dropped passes, and
As a matter
things
of
like
fact,
that.
the 2019 finals with the Cavaliers in the no, not was it 2019? 2018 finals with the Cavaliers and the Warriors
Hmm.
when George Hill missed the free throw and J.R. Smith grabbed the rebound. And instead of him calling timeout or anything else, he ran all the way to the backcourt and tried to dribble the timeout. And LeBron even asked Tyronn Lue, he said, "Bro, we got any more timeouts?" He said, "Yeah, we got them," and it pissed him off. It pissed him off. So a lot of times especially when you talk about at a really really big game like the finals or whatever. I mean, you can lose your head, and sometimes you just lose train
That's
of
what
thought.
I'm thinking too,
So
along
a
those
lot of times
lines.
it'd be almost
The
muscle
mo
memory just to hurry up and do it, so you
Yeah,
don't screw up. So
right.
yeah, that's could have been it.
In the heat of the moment, especially when you're in a highly contested game like Michigan was in, and let me make something clear right here. We're not accusing Chris Webber or anything. I mean, because
No.
that game was just such a highly competitive game until
Hmm.
I could possibly see him taking the ball and saying, and his mindset is in a completely different mindset when it comes to um, trying to get that ball down the court and trying to score if in fact they could have. So I just wanted to make that clear and make sure that we are not here accusing anybody of anything by any means at all. We're just saying that some of the warning signs over time, and the patterns and stuff could lead to something like that. But you would have to really dig in and be monitoring it closely enough to kind of pick it up, I would think, because in most sports, it's a way that a lot of athletes can make it work without you even noticing it, if that makes sense. So let me ask you another question. So it looks like the top five players is coming out is Darryn Peterson, from the Kansas Jayhawks, Caleb Wilson, and Mikael Brown Jr. and Chris Sinek Jr. They look like the top guys right now. It's going to be coming out of college and drafted into the NBA. It's projecting Peterson to be the number one pick right now in the mock drafts. And he's a very, very dominant player. I just looked some of his information up here, and he's very impressive, to say the least, if you look at it, because his ability to score, he's 6'6",
Hmm.
205 pounds, and he's a guard,
Yeah,
of course.
he's a great height and frame. I'm looking at, yeah,
Yeah, especially for a guard to be that
for guard
tall.
six. Yeah,
Yeah, because a
so
lot of
that's
times guards are
because
like six
I was
one, right?
always fond of that height when it came to basketball because you had Vince Carter, yeah, Kobe, you had Jordan, you have so that height for some reason 6'6" always was even Cunningham that plays for the
Cade Cunningham.
that plays for the Pistons 6'6". So I always felt like that was the best size and frame, especially if you have the body frame for it. That was like the best size because you're of course you're taller than average person, but the thing
Right,
is you're not too short. You can see the court. You have the ability to score at will, and you can keep up with the bigger guys too because the bigger guys, yeah, they have a bigger body, but the thing is they're a lot slower than you. So you can blow past them, and the guards that's smaller than you can shoot over 'em.
right.
And if you have court vision, then you completely there. That's why I always for some reason I always like 6'6" when it came to the NBA.
I love the taller guards as well, 'cause being that I was a big fan of Magic Johnson, so he was 6'9".
Yeah, he's 6'9". He was that's actually technically he was a forward playing a
He was a
point guard.
forward playing guard, yeah, but
Yeah,
he had
because
the
and we
skill
talking about
set to play
6'9".
guard.
6'9" is LeBron height. Carmelo was like 6'10". So if you a point guard playing 6'9", I mean, bro, you're just you're cheating at that point, bro.
Yep. Well, one thing, and I'm glad you mentioned Karl Malone, the mailman. Boy, that dude
Hmm.
wasn't nothing nice, man. When it came to bringing that ball down the court and driving toward that basket, if you took a charge, you were taking your life in your own hands, messing with Karl Malone. Because I seen him bull over so many people, so many players over his career during his younger days when he was in his prime and when
Hmm.
Utah was going to those finals and stuff. Boy, he wasn't nothing to play with. He was nothing nice, man. I'm gonna just
But
leave it at
his
that.
style of that's the thing when it comes to different styles of plays in different eras. I don't think he would have been as dominant now the way how he played then because he I don't think he was much of a 3-point shooter. So right
So
there
you think
alone,
it's the
it
better
takes
competition now would challenge him, or he just wouldn't be able to do it based on the league?
just the style of play because
Right.
the pace is crazy. I mean, he can try to bulldoze the people because everybody that's his height and over is well underweight when it comes to his um his style of play and of course his body frame. Because you got people like Chet that plays for the for Thunder. Yes,
Hmm.
he's 7'1", 7'2", but he also weighs only like 210. You know how skinny that is for a 7-footer?
Oh, I know. Isn't that
Exactly.
something?
So he can bulldoze right through them. When you talking about having to guard the perimeter, I don't think he would be able to because he wasn't a great perimeter defender. So right there alone takes you out the game. So if he's not
Absolutely.
completely dominating them in the post, which we did have a sweet little mid shot, but the thing is for you to actually guard it will probably kill the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, Utah had some really good teams. They had John Stockton, Thurl Bailey, Karl Malone, and
Hmm.
all of those. It was an all-star cast to me. I mean, when it came to them coming out of the West, because Utah is a small market. Salt Lake City is a
It
very
is.
tiny market for basketball.
But
Um,
just like we were saying, as great as that team was at that time in the mid and the late '90s, do you think they can keep up with OKC right now? The team that they play right now,
no, they wouldn't
they
be
won't
able
be
to
able to
keep up with
defend
that
them.
OKC
They won't be
team.
able to
Yeah,
defend them. They will not
true,
be.
true.
The pace
Just a
alone
different
will
era
burn
and a
them
different
out.
time.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so true. But one thing is for sure, we'll keep an eye out on this upcoming mock draft because I don't really put a lot of emphasis into the NBA draft. But what I'm going to start doing is we're going to cover more of the NBA draft because we want to get more in depth um, of what's going on within how these teams in the NBA draft. Because I know they have a lottery. They've always tend to have a lottery where the worst teams get put in a lottery, and whichever team comes out, they end up picking first. Is it still like that?
I mean, not all the
Because
time,
I
but
remember
it
when Allen Iverson got drafted and the Philadelphia
mhm.
76ers was in that lottery, and they were so happy when Philadelphia
I got
learned
number
that
one.
they had actually won that lottery to be able to pick Allen Iverson.
But it doesn't always work like that because where Cooper Flag went.
He ended up going to Dallas.
Was
So,
that did Dallas have the worst team in the league?
no.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
they
that
made they
speaks
made the
volumes
most
right there.
question they made the most questionable trade ever. But when you talking about as in record, they didn't even have the worst record, and they
Yeah,
just went
that's
to the
true.
finals the year before. So yeah, I guess
Well, that's why they walked Nico and showed him the door, I guess. He was a fall
expeditiously.
guy for all of that, you know, unfortunately. Yeah. So anyway, we'll close this show out today. We appreciate you, the viewer, for joining us on this quick last minute thing that we decided to come on and talk a little bit about the NBA and some of the things that's going on in the NBA right now as we speak. It's really getting exciting. These teams are kind of ramping it up for the rest of the season because I tell you what, it's a lot of good competition in the NBA, and it's going to only get more heated as these teams progress. With OKC, of course, leading the way with the talent because you look at their team. Their team is fairly young. They have a lot of energy in that team, and they think that they can do it again. And I believe that they can do it again. Do you think they can do it again? They can
Of
go back to
course.
back.
Of course. Of course. Who's standing their way outside of the especially if they do not have to play the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, because San
They're
Antonio tend to play them
they
really heads up, right?
yeah,
Play them hard.
because the thing is they're I'm not gonna say they talent wise, but they style of play. And just by having Wemby, it really stops them and it stops their strengths a lot. So because they're so similar, only thing is they don't have the same level of talent. But the thing is, just between the style of play and then the length they have there, it bothers them the most. It bothers them the most because everybody else in the league is either not talented enough to guard them or they're too slow to guard them. But the Spurs is
Mhm.
just as fast as them and they're longer. So that right there alone stops everything they have going on. But if they do not have to play the Spurs, it's going to be an easy road to the finals again.
Yeah, but just let's say they have to play the Spurs. You think that could be the only thing standing in their way coming out of the West,
That will.
right?
It's not going anything under six. Both ways, or whoever wins, it's not going nowhere. Anything under six, it's going to be 6 or 7. It's nothing under six.
I could believe that. I could believe that because Wemby and that San Antonio team, they got some talent on that team as well, and they gonna be playing for keeps, especially when they face off
Shockingly,
against
because they was
OKC.
13th last season, 13th
Wow,
in their
this just
seconds.
goes to show you how they did a 360 and they turned it all the way around, right?
Well, actually 180, but yeah,
Oh,
360 put you in the
180.
same spot.
I meant to say 180. Thanks for correcting me, brother. I appreciate you, man. So anyway, all right, everybody, before we close this thing out, let's bring this whole conversation back and summarize it all. We talked and began talking a little bit about the mock draft and how that applies to teams that are positioned in the draft to get the best players coming out of college with, Sacramento leading the way. And then you got the Washington Wizards, and then you got the Indiana Pacers falling be within that five positions, of course, and several other teams that we knew that was very competitive a year or years ago. They're going to be picking, and then we kind of try to equate what tanking and how tanking plays in the NBA versus other professional leagues, because other professional leagues, it happens in every league. Um, and if you can't identify it outright, it seems like some people can investigate it and identify it. But however, whatever happens, we just want to keep you abreast on all of the things that's going on in the NBA. And we'll continue on later this week. And we're going to have our radio show, WDCS Live, the DC Stewart Show Podcast. We got a real cool secret topic coming up for you on that. We think you're gonna love that one. That's one of our top secrets, those things right now, before we talk about it. So make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and continue to follow us and hit us up on all of the social media and hype our channel for us, because we definitely appreciate when you do that, as our viewer, as our family, and everything else. So we'll see you again soon. You take care of yourself. And if you got anything to drop on us, drop it to us. We have an email that's in the comments and description section that you can be able to contact us if you need to do that. And we'll try to get back to you as soon as we can. Take care of yourself, take care of your mind, your spirits, and your heart, and take care of everything around you. Peace, love, and prosperity. Take it easy. See you soon.